it's Jack and Ross from Cultaholic.com, and we're here with a very important update, I think it's fair to say, regarding the ongoing pandemic and what this means for various wrestling shows around the world in the future, most importantly of all, of course, or I guess the biggest one being WrestleMania 36. So, without any further ado...
Hot off the press!
Let's just crack on, because there's quite a lot of details to get into here, but hopefully we can deliver it to you in concise and understandable fashion. So, first of all, yes, let's talk about that WrestleMania 36 news, because today Tampa City officials all met to discuss the future of various events in Tampa, but of course the one that's relevant here is WrestleMania. In fact, there were reports that Vince McMahon himself was present.
You couldn't see him on the camera. There was two angles used. You could see the main guy speaking and delivering all the sermons and whatnot. Then there was a wide angle, but Vince wasn't there. What was Vince doing? We have no idea.
But he might have been there. Just
he might have been there. I was shocked, yeah.
We're going to take a look at a couple of reports from online. First of all, this is WrestlingNews.co. Paul Davis was the writer on this one, and he says, officials noted that WrestleMania is 3 weeks away, and they want to wait a week to see what actions WWE will take. If WWE does not take action in regards to the show, then they will hold an emergency meeting next week, specifically they said 7 days from now, to figure out what to do. So,
we will be getting that emergency meeting next week, won't we? Because Vince McMahon is not going to cancel WrestleMania 36, is he?
It doesn't seem that way, the way that everything's been going today. Paul Davis continues, so as of now, in summary, WrestleMania 36 has not been cancelled. As of now, there is not an order to cancel mass public gatherings in Tampa, but despite it not being an official order, it is strongly being advised to do so. Ooh, very interesting stuff.
I mean, WWE was made exempt. They made a ruling about everything else, all other sort of public gatherings, but WWE specifically was mentioned by name. The guy was like, is it World Wrestling Entertainment?
Yes,
I used to be a fan. You don't have to be embarrassed about wrestling. We're all wrestling fans here. But it looks like, what are you going to say?
The reason they gave for that was that it's 3 weeks away.
Yeah.
So they were saying, let's wait. But again...
we can't go too overboard with the pandemic that's going on at the minute, because it's changing so bloody quickly from day to day, from hour to hour with certain things.
Yeah, it really is. I know that it's a bit strange, because obviously this is going to affect thousands of wrestling fans who are waiting for travel information and updates.
WrestleMania is a global event. They always brag about how many countries are represented there in the arena. They've come from all the way around the world. These fans are waiting for them to confirm, or, just confirm what they're going to do with the plans for the show. It's conflicting stuff, isn't it?
It really is. So just to go into a bit of further detail, let's take a look at Ryan Clark's recent piece published by eWrestlingNews.com, where he said, during today's meeting with Tampa Bay City officials, it was revealed that the city government would reevaluate their plans for WrestleMania 36 1 week from now. So basically they are postponing the official announcement on whether the show will move forward for now. They confirmed that they've been speaking with WWE officials in recent days. The commissioner also seemed to think WWE had a press conference earlier today, but that's not the case. I saw that bit. That was a bit weird.
Somebody said there was going to be one, but it didn't happen.
Right. But then the guy in charge of the meeting seemed to think it had happened, even though it hadn't.
But it didn't happen.
Strange. When Sheriff Chad Chronister asked the panel directly about possibly cancelling or postponing WrestleMania 36, the commissioner noted that because the event is still several weeks away, he doesn't want to pull that plug just yet, and will give it another week before making a decision. They will return next Thursday at 1:30 p.m. Eastern to discuss the event. With that being said, major events in Tampa, Florida this weekend have been cancelled. It should also be noted that Florida Governor Ron DeSantis is recommending that all mass gatherings in the state of Florida in the next 30 days should be postponed or cancelled. Again, that's a recommendation, not an official order yet. He's also cancelling all non-essential travel by state employees and telling them to work remotely if they can.
Bloody hell.
Yeah.
I don't know what do you say about that?
It's crazy.
You just got to wait for it to play out, basically, which is a really frustrating thing when you want conclusive answers right now.
Do you think that in a week's time they'll just delay it again another week, or do you think by then they'll make it?
As I say, just because it is such a global event these days, and fans around the world are waiting for them to say this is going ahead, this isn't going ahead. Hopefully, this time next week we're sat here with a conclusive answer.
It's really hard as well, because obviously bad news has already been given to lots of European countries, or fans from lots of European countries, not at the moment, including the UK, because of course America or the USA have put a travel ban on flights between Europe and the USA, which just throws loads of people's WrestleMania plans into chaos.
It's fine, everyone can come to the UK and fly straight over, get a connection flight, bring it all over to us.
Oh dear me. It's really this is one of the most bizarre news stories we've ever had to report on. But just to follow up on it, we're going to take a look at some other wrestling shows and news on whether they've been cancelled or postponed or whatever. So we'll get into those right now. So first of all, SmackDown, because that's tomorrow night at the time of recording. SmackDown. Now, there were rumours online that had been cancelled. That was going to be moved to the Performance Centre like NXT was this week. But WWE issued an official statement to Pro Wrestling Sheet which said WWE has not cancelled Friday Night SmackDown in Detroit. However, based on the current situation, we are putting contingency plans in place in the event that upcoming WWE shows are cancelled by government officials, civil authorities and or local venues. So at the moment it's still going ahead, but they have got a contingency plan.
Nothing's for sure, one thing they haven't done is told the wrestlers yet. At least not Xavier Woods, because he was on Twitter recently saying, does anybody know? I don't know. You always find out before me. Please let me know. And he's injured.
Yeah, he is as well.
He is injured as well. I guess he'd be the last to find out, if he was injured.
I guess so. What do you think the contingency plan is? Performance Centre?
Performance Centre, closed doors, no fans in the arena. That would be weird.
That would be weird.
I've got no idea.
Yeah.
What would you do?
I don't know. To be honest, well, I was about to say, I think it looks as though SmackDown's going to go ahead just because it's tomorrow and nothing's happened yet. But if you look at the change in the news just overnight from yesterday to today, I mean, sports leagues have been shutting down all over the world.
So many. The rugby's gone, certain football leagues have gone, the Premier League looks like it probably will be going.
Maybe.
Baseball,
the NBA, basketball, yeah.
XFL has been putting stuff behind closed doors now, haven't they? Or have they? I can't remember. So many things have been happening today of all days as well. Boris Johnson's been saying lots of things. Avoid cruise ships and stuff like that. Yeah.
I've never been on a cruise. I was quite fancying it.
Never fancied anyway.
Now let's move on to AEW, where Tony Khan has been, I guess, taking quite a fair approach towards his roster and their concerns about the ongoing pandemic. So this is a quote from Dave Meltzer on today's Wrestling Observer Radio, and he says, Tony Khan tonight told all the talent and staff that everyone is under no pressure to work next week's show or shows as long as this thing is going on. He said that anyone who feels any illness or is stressed about travel, that it's fine to stay home. He said that nobody will be judged by their decision that they make and that nobody will lose their spot or their push over it, which I think is very nice.
What a damning commentary on the professional wrestling business as a whole, that he has to say, your push won't be over if you want to stay at home and avoid this life-threatening illness.
Yeah. I saw tweets suggesting that, well, of course Tony Khan would do this because he's from a sports ownership background and they tend to treat people like human beings a lot more than in the sports entertainment business. Yeah, it is a shame. But also in terms of AEW shows that are coming up and their status, let's start with next week's from Rochester, New York. Now, at first, a tweet from at Jeff Slawson, or S. Lawson. I checked that, but I think it was Slawson.
Jeff
Slawson on Twitter. He said that originally, he seemed to imply anyway, that the show had been cancelled due to legislation in New York State. But then he said, prior tweet deleted due to confusion, events of more than 50 people in Rochester are suggested to be cancelled, but there's no official mandate as of now. So it's been suggested that show should be cancelled, but they are not legally obliged to do so. And also, that's a similar story when it comes to Blood and Guts. So first of all, that Rochester show is pretty important because it's the rumoured site of Brody Lee or Luke Harper's debut.
The Exalted One, potentially.
Do you think?
Potentially.
Do you think it's too obvious that Matt Hardy's the Exalted One?
No, I don't know who it's going to be. It's going to be one of those two, surely, though.
Yeah, now that Lance Archer's with Jake the Snake.
Jack the Snake.
But in terms of Blood and Guts, which is like, it's not a pay-per-view, but it's a huge show for AEW.
It basically is a pay-per-view when you look at the card.
It's got
what's going on.
Especially that Blood and Guts match, which is effectively a War Games match, the Inner Circle versus the Elite. That is taking place on March 25th, or is supposed to. But the mayor of Newark has suggested cancellation of non-essential gatherings for 30 days, which puts the status of it in question because it falls within that 30-day window.
The next chapter in the Elite versus the Inner Circle is essential, in my opinion.
You'd argue that is an essential
We need
gathering.
to find out what's going to happen. Will Cody get his revenge on Chris Jericho and all that malarkey? It is essential, Jack, isn't it?
I think it's essential as
if
well.
You're watching politicians in America, of course it's essential.
Now, in all seriousness,
Still real to me.
In all seriousness, we do want to sort of keep our own personal opinions out of this, but because it's such a complicated situation, I'm not even certain what my own personal opinion
I haven't got a
really
clue.
is. No.
On one hand, don't go over the top. On the other hand, though, just for the fans, the wrestlers, everybody involved with every single show, the sooner they know what's going on, the better.
Absolutely.
I've got no idea.
No, I think that's the right stance. And also, of course, I think it's important to say at the end of the video that we do want to express our well wishes towards everybody who has been affected by this pandemic. And hopefully things start to go a bit right in the near future, I suppose, if everybody can just
go a bit right.
Go a bit right. Couldn't quite find the right words to describe that. But yeah, it's a bit of a time of turmoil, not only in the wrestling business but across the world. But hopefully everything will turn out okay, and we will. I'm sure be back next week with news on that second follow-up WrestleMania meeting as well.